This tutorial is going to be show you how to download data from the Stats Canada website and how to make a multiple bar graph. So click on the link provided to you to take you to this page for the retirement age by class of worker, and you're going to select download options and you're going to click on CSV. That's going to download it into a spreadsheet. You're going to open up the spreadsheet. You're going to highlight what you want to copy, Control C, or find the copy button. Open up a Google Sheet. Click on the cell where you want it to paste, Control V. Now, when making a bar graph, you have to be really careful that you highlight the correct data. So I'm going to ignore this stuff down here. This is all about the median age, and I just want to focus on the average age. So I'm going to highlight from here because that's going to include my categories, and I'm going to go directly over because that's going to include my yearly data. So once I have those cells highlighted, then I'm going to go to Insert Chart. Now sometimes you'll get lucky and it'll select the right chart, but sometimes you'll be unlucky and it will interpret the data wrongly. So if it selects column chart, that's great. You can have it as a column chart, or if you scroll down, Google Sheets calls a bar chart one that goes, or the bars go horizontally. But we're usually used to seeing it in columns. And then you're going to scroll down, and you're going to play around with these three checkboxes at the bottom, where it says switch rows, use row 8 as headers, and use column B as labels. So playing around a little bit, if I check that one, this is a good bar graph. It shows it the category and how it's changing over the years. So you might find that the most interesting way to look at it, because you can see a trend. Now you can also change the axis so you can see the trend easier. If you go to Customize, and if we click on vertical axis, I don't want it to start at 0 because there's not much happening in the first 0 to 50 really. I can scroll down and I can have my vertical axis, let's have it start at 50 because I don't have any data points under 50. And you'll change your y-axis, and then it's much easier to see a trend and to see what values those bars are going to. So that is how you make a bar graph, a multiple bar graph. And it's labeled quite well. If you go back to setup, you can play around with other ways of looking at it. So if you switch the rows and the columns, and if I check that third box, now I can see it in terms of collected in years, and I can compare the sectors together. So then I can see that self-employed really always has the highest retirement age, right? And the red one, the public sector one, it seems to always have the lowest age. Where if I go back to what I had previously, let's see if I can find it here. Sometimes you just have to play around with these boxes. There we go. Now I can compare it as a category. So I can see public sector it's rising, private sector it's rising, but self-employed, even though it has the higher retirement age, it was actually dropping for a few years until the year 2020. And so then we can make an educated guess on why that happens. This might be an easy year to figure out why a self-employed retirement age wasn't following that trend of dropping, because of what's been happening in the year 2020, but that is how you make a bar graph. It does take a little bit of experimentation with these boxes to get the graph to look as you want it to look.